Thank you for listening to episode 11 of The Kindness Rebellion. This episode, I spoke with my good friend Jules, a rap artist from our very own Salt Lake City. We discussed his upcoming concert, which will raise funds to provide food grow kits and free haircuts for people experiencing homelessness in Utah. We also discussed the personal and cultural impacts of homelessness and how we can all help these individuals reclaim their dignity. Make sure to like and share the podcast or do whatever it is you do to let me know that you like it. Thanks for listening. Jules, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man.
Dude, yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
That's a really cool space.
Hell yeah.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I definitely invited you here. Well, I mean, I don't know how we want to jump right in or if we just want to kind of like ease into it. One of the things that I've been really excited to talk to you about is just kind of like how you're using music to influence change, you know?
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. Tell me about it, man.
We're going to be throwing a show in June or July, and we're going to use the money raised from that show from vendors and performers, and we're going to partner with Q Leedens and Vibasta to give homeless people easy to prepare ultra healthy food amongst other things.
Yeah.
Like, along with other things, haircuts, food bank food. We're going to be teaching them how to program JavaScript. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, dude, this honestly, all of it is just like super exciting to me. And just real quickly, like tell us what your let me get this straight. Is it rap group, hip hop group? Like I'm new to this space in general. So like, who are you guys? You know, what do you like? Yeah. Who are you guys?
Well, I'm doing this as sort of a solo venture.
Okay, perfect.
Some people have reached out. This lovely woman named Faith is going to be helping me.
Okay.
She's going to be preparing fresh food, stocked like vegetables, fruits, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, she's going to be doing haircuts for the homeless.
Okay, perfect.
Which is really cool.
That does make a big difference, especially when they're just kind of trying to get back on their feet.
Exactly.
And the thing that makes me so excited about it is just that you're doing something to try and help these people, and most of it is trying to just kind of get them picked up.
Yeah.
And just like help them understand how to individually care for themselves, like through their food and their, health that way, especially because like, obviously that's a very essential part to living.
Yeah.
And then just the added help of throwing in like free haircuts and stuff like that. It makes a big difference.
Totally.
So I am curious why you chose to kind of use your voice and your motivation for change to help people experiencing homelessness.
Because no one else is, quite frankly.
For fuck's sake.
There's no one, like, these people are fucking drowning.
Yeah.
They have no one else to turn to. As someone who has experienced homelessness, and the type of mindset that puts you in, the type of environment and reality you're surrounded with, no one is helping these fucking people. No one with their billions of dollars, no one with the state with all their infinite resources, who have money to do anything and everything. No one is helping them.
Not only are we not helping them, we're like actively pushing them down and pushing them away.
They're freezing and starving and being infected to death, and no one is doing anything about it. And that's why, because it is essential. And if you're a creator and you have a big outreach and you have a lot of influence, and you're not doing this, you're part of the problem. Yeah. Flat out. Like, I don't care what anyone else says. Like, to be not involved is corny. Yeah. To be like apolitical is corny to me.
Yeah. Especially when it's something that you don't have to do a lot there's not a lot that has to be done in terms of going a long way for these individuals.
Totally.
Like, it's insane how, you talk about just like people just don't even fucking care about them, in the sense that, when we're walking down the street and we see someone experiencing homelessness, we don't even fucking look at them in the eyes.
We've dehumanized homeless people.
Extremely.
Because they represent the opposite of the American the modern American ideal, which is this this idea of like a meritocracy, and that, you know, if you work the hardest, you're going to succeed, and these people aren't working at all, which is like, first of all, totally bullshit. It helps a lot if you're rich, white, male, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It helps a lot if you're not black. It helps a lot if you're not a woman, you know,
or have any sort of like anything affecting the way that you can even process daily life.
Totally.
The idea that we're in this, like, you know, very noble meritocracy, you're right, is just total bullshit. And I kind of wanted you to actually dive in a little bit, if you're okay with it, your experience of homelessness, because I think it's like you said, we really do dehumanize them, and we really do just like we create this sense that they deserve what they're experiencing, and then we have absolutely no capability of empathy and understanding what that could even be like, or what we would do in a situation experiencing homelessness. So if you wouldn't mind talking about it a little bit.
Well, I mean, if I could, I'd like to also like kind of build on what you were just saying, which is that what's so crazy to me is that the people who are enforcing this like dehumanizing behavior towards homeless people the most are people who are like, what's so funny about this whole thing is like, dude, like it's like the guy who like is like hiding behind like social justice issues and is like she's not gonna fuck you, bro.
Yeah,
like, it's the same thing. Like Elon Musk you're so far away from like these people that you just fetishize, and you fetishize their like their work ethic, and do we all have the same 24 hours, bro? Like you're so far from them, and yet you've been like you've been sold this idea of like American exceptionalism, and this idea of like the sweat of your brow, you know, which is so bullshit and so corny, and so untrue. But it's the same thing. It's like, dude, like it's a carrot also to dangle. It's every fucking election cycle, conservatives say they're gonna deal with immigration, but they're not going to because they need their cheap labor.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
to keep it a stack. You know, it's interesting. But you know, it's both sides. Like you know, they like every 4 years, like the Democrats say they're going to deal with police relations, and they never do because they need the money from the state
and the protection.
Exactly. Yeah. My experience with homelessness happened when I was a kid, and we were bouncing around a lot. I stayed with my mom in a YWCA as well as some shelters and stuff. To keep it. I mean, the reason it resonates with me really is like experiencing that was big, but like watching other people experience it themselves it's dehumanizing, man.
Yeah,
it's really fucked up, and no one's doing anything at all.
Well, I appreciate that you are so passionate about it, and that you want to use your artistry and your ability to communicate through your art and your music to try and make actual like tangible differences in people's lives. So I'm happy to be a part of it, for one thing. And I think you're right, dude. Like, people aren't doing enough about it, and it's too easy to just allow ourselves to marginalize them and, you know, tell ourselves that they deserve it. And it's causing way more problems than it's worth. And I wanted to kind of touch back on this idea that you were talking about, where we fetishize, you know, the billionaire class and all of these elites, and sort of tell ourselves like, oh yeah, if I work hard enough, I'll be just like them. But, you know, I saw this thing recently that's like, you are never 3 good months away from being Elon Musk, but you are always 3 months away from being homeless. And so we need to understand that those people could be us at any moment.
Totally.
Not just to act out of self-preservation, but to actually establish true empathy with these people and try and make a real difference in their lives. And I'm so happy that you're not only willing to do that, but like willing to carry the torch and make sure that you're, you know, mobilizing other people to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're getting there soon.
Yeah.
You know, this might be like doomer, like black pilled, but like, you know, like when you know, in 10 years, when we decide to like spend our last $300 billion on like weapons tech instead of like diabetes medication, and you have to keep and solar power isn't working, and all this other stuff, like there's no power in your house, and you need to keep your insulin cold, like this minutia, this whole like what are your values, what do you stand for, this minutia will all fade.
Yeah, it really will.
And like shit will get really that's when things will get interesting.
Yeah. I also try not to get like too doomsday, but like it's on the horizon and it's a possibility. And
Exactly.
that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the podcast is it's not necessarily being like, oh, it's all doom and gloom, like run for your lives. But at the same time, it's like, that is a possibility and we have to make a choice now.
Totally.
And I think, connecting with and mobilizing people that are experiencing the absolute worst of this system and the absolute worst of our culture and our society, actually being able to connect, understand them, and mobilize them is going to be absolutely essential to making a real difference. And it's unfortunate to me that a lot of people have just kind of written them off or, treat them as human garbage. So I really value that. And I guess I wanted to, I kind of wanted to talk more about how homelessness fits into, our paradigms as a society in general, kind of thing.
I think the reflection is in my music, like the reflection of like, here's this really crazy like string, like high, like just here's this sound that sounds really fucking expensive, right? And then here's like a 3/6 Mafia vocal saying like that.
Yeah.
Like you could go down Rodeo in LA.
Yeah.
And you could drive 10 minutes and you'd be in like Long Beach.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I think
it's so close. Everything is 10 minutes away. And like try as hard as we can to push these people out. They're always there.
Yeah.
You're like the Rolex, there's a Rolex store at City Creek. It's homeless people at City Creek. Like everything is way closer than we try to act.
Yeah.
There's a feeling of separation. There's a great quote. I can't remember how like verbatim, but it's like first class, business class, in a plane crash, we all die.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know. Wealth's fake, all that, like all that shit,
It's interesting how that separation between us and, people experiencing homeless is purely psychological, right?
That's the paradigm though, is everything is 5 to 10 minutes from everything else.
Yeah.
No, it's just outside your window, and all you got to do is look around.
Yeah. And I love that actually, because it really is not hard to see that. And it's interesting how we do through our legislation, just as a society, even personally, just continue trying to push them out. And there's this like crackdown here in SLC where they were just trying to, end homelessness. I don't know. It's insane how ending homelessness.
Yeah, they're
always
trying to end it by like killing them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they're trying to fucking end homelessness.
What the fuck? It's not actually curing the problem at all.
No.
And it's just insane to me that the idea of like fighting homelessness is criminalizing them or criminalizing the spaces that they're trying to just exist in.
Yeah,
right?
like you can't like loitering. You could get arrested for loitering.
Yeah.
Like literally just occupying space without purchasing something.
And it's so stupid.
They've monetized standing somewhere.
Existing. Monetized
That's
existing.
crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And it's insane how, because like technically when loitering is illegal or even just like that law in general, right?
Yes.
I could go and loiter somewhere, but because I'm not appearing like, extremely poor,
Yes.
it would not be enforced in any way, shape, or form.
Totally.
So we really use these as like a smokescreen to just criminalize and further push down and marginalize these people.
Yeah. It's like the like Giuliani era NYPD was not stopping and frisking every fucking person.
No, dude.
Like most laws, especially like low level legislation, like laws that are like enforced on a street level by cops, it's all like black and brown people and poor people.
Yeah.
That's all has ever been made
Exactly.
to do.
Yeah, dude. I'm actually reading a book right now. It's called The New Jim Crow. And
yeah.
And it talks about how the war on drugs has been used to like create a racial caste
Totally.
for specifically for black men. But it talks about discretion with law enforcement, and talks about just like how technically they could get just as many drug busts by going to some frat house and getting a bunch of white kids.
Black and white people do the same amount of drugs, man.
Oh yeah, the exact amount. In fact, they were doing a study of like of high school students, and they found that across all these different drugs except marijuana, white people were more likely to be doing them than black people, and with marijuana, it was equal. It was the same amount of people. But of course, the criminalization of those things is not the same. And it's the same for all these bullshit laws that we create around homelessness. It's not meant to actually like help anyone or clean up anything.
It's they have a monopoly on violence, man.
Ooh.
That's all it's ever been.
Shit, I love that phrase, monopoly on violence, because that's really all they want.
That's what the state has with the police.
Jesus.
They don't help people. They fucking killed an autistic kid.
Just here in Salt Lake?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like a year ago, maybe. Like they just like, it's a war crime. It's a literal war crime to shoot rubber bullets like directly at people.
Shit. And like
if
using
they're supposed
tear
to
gas and shit too.
Yeah, they're supposed to bounce off the ground. It's literally a war crime.
But as
They were
long as it's
kidnapping
domestic,
people.
it's okay.
Yeah, the state has a monopoly on violence, and you can't compete with that. You cannot compete with the amount of drugs that the state funnels in. You cannot compete with the tax dollars that the state generates via drug trafficking. You cannot, in any crime, not just drugs, violence, sex trafficking, whatever. You can't compete with the state.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll take care of you because they're doing that.
For fuck's sake.
That's how. How do you think we have like certain amount? Like, how do you think we have certain taxpayer money or tax money?
Yeah, exactly.
They all do the same shit, man.
So I'm wondering, like,
they just have the most guns.
Yeah, they really do. They've got the firepower and they've monopolized violence. I'm going to be using that term a lot, by the way. I'm wondering, like, we sort of. So I love that you're mobilized to help people experiencing homelessness and kind of trying to fight the system in that way. And I am curious to talk more about kind of like, the actual health aspects of it and trying to, build up their own digestive health there, just specifically like healthier food.
Are you familiar with the term food desert?
No, I'm not.
So basically in low income areas, right? The amount of healthy food in a certain mile radius is way lower as opposed to high income.
Oh.
We've turned healthy living into a luxury good.
Yeah.
Like
shit.
Stuff that is arguably cheaper to manufacture. It's cheaper to grow something.
Yeah.
And like a farm to table process is a lot cheaper than farm to manufacture to scientists to add
and all this other
exactly.
shit. Yeah.
It's arguably cheaper, if not like around the same price. So like we've turned healthy living into a luxury experience, health brand, and that's my whole thing with no one even the food they get at the homeless shelter is not like ideal. Obviously, I want to donate a lot of that to like food bank stuff, like non-perishables.
We got to do something, right? Yeah,
totally, yeah, and like. As much as I'd love to, like financially, I'm not in the position to buy them fucking.
That's the hard part.
Caesar salads from wherever.
Yeah, exactly. I've never even encountered that term, food desert, and it totally makes sense because we are like even on just like a more like I don't know, middle class understanding of it. We know that it's sometimes actually more often cheaper to go buy a fucking McDonald's hamburger than it is to go and actually purchase like fruits and vegetables and stuff. And I didn't think about the magnitude of that on on a level of someone experiencing homelessness, let alone just like extreme poverty in general.
Poverty. The line is poverty.
It is, yeah.
Which is like most people. Most people are paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you're probably an outlier. You probably eat pretty clean just because of how much you know about the human body. Yeah. Most people do not eat like you do. No. Like people at I don't know what you make, but like roughly from 15,000 to 45,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Roughly, right?
Yeah.
Most people in that bracket do not eat as clean as you. Most people eat like shit. Like McDonald's most nights or fast food most nights.
Yeah, definitely.
And then shitty like Cheetos and just literal poison
and shit. Yeah, dude. It's crazy because like, and it's hard to just be like, I like how you point out that, this that it's a luxury to eat healthy because it's not as easy as just telling someone, come on, you got to change your diet. You got to just be more individually responsible because that's obviously only like I'd say less than half of the picture because you got to have that accessibility to it.
And the time. Like most people, theoretically, you could buy a pound of chicken and a carton of eggs and some vegetables and stuff And then when are you going to get the time? Let's say you work 2 jobs.
Yeah.
When you get home, you're fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
You sit like it is way easier to eat in a disassociative way.
Yeah.
Where you're just putting something in your body that's garbage, that's cheap,
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. And that also importantly, like just kind of stimulates you too, right?
Yep.
It's got to be like overly delicious. It's not about the actual, content
Sustenance.
of it. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we both know Sam. Sam's actually a huge reason that I've even started this podcast. I love him to death. And so I know that you're pretty much partnering
He's okay.
with him. Oh yeah, he's
kind of a dick.
oh yeah. I'm sure you'll love that. So what is that partnership with him looking like? What was the reason behind it, and how does it work?
Well, in the beginning of 2021, I met Sam at a show at Liquid Joe's. Mm-hmm. And he was just like a cool ass dude. And we hung out again, and he told me, he's like, dude, like 90% of your serotonin is regulated in your stomach. And I was like, shit, I didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was 350 pounds, and I'm 6'6", so like 350 looks a lot different on me than like
someone else.
Yeah, like most people probably look like my half-ton life.
Yeah.
With 350 pounds on them.
Shit,
I look bad.
Uh-huh.
But because I took his advice and I started eating healthy and like fermented my stomach via his program with like kombucha and took the Sam pill.
The Sam pill, nice.
And I started using his sprouting kits and his growing kits. Mm-hmm. I lost like 65 pounds last year.
It's fucking amazing, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, the reason I took so much interest in him and specifically his products is because I'm like, when it comes to preparing stuff, like I'm really good at music and I have a good eye for like, I guess clothes or what, like I have good taste and I'm good at music.
Yeah.
Everything else to me is like, and basketball, everything else is like,
it just kind of goes over your head.
Yeah. And so like, I was able to understand him and the instructions on how to use something like that.
Yeah.
Like with my chimp brain, So like,
it does make it so easy because I actually have my own growing kit as well, and it's absolutely fucking amazing because like even just the idea of like growing your own food, it just seems so complex and like there's probably just so much to it, and it's sort of been like monopolized by the agricultural space. We sort of just think that it's what's the point if I can just go to the grocery store and buy, however much, even if it's not healthy, it's just like, what's the point? This is way more accessible and simple. Mm-hmm. But Sam has found a way to make that accessible. And
also the new, like, the way he's growing them, the sprouts specifically, are way more nutritionally dense and rich. Yeah. Than you're like, if you got one of his, bean sprouts, like it would have like 40 times the nutritional value as opposed to like beans from the store. Like fully grown beans. And so like him explaining that and then like me using it via his instructions, I was like, this is so easy.
Yeah, it really is.
And then we started talking about, he had a friend who used to like teach like inner city kids how to like garden. And then like that sparked the idea essentially. Okay. I was like, dude, what if we just like gave this to homeless people?
Yeah.
For free.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that idea. Now, I mean, I do have like a quick logistical question about this.
Totally.
Like, if we were to kind of give them these growing kits, like their access to electricity, because it does require a grow light. Now, I'm wondering if it really, for one thing, if it really does, if it's going to be able to withstand the elements. Because like, I wonder how they can still utilize this product while still being homeless.
For sure. Well, his specific sprouting kits, the ones I had in mind, require sunlight, just sunlight.
Gotcha.
So it's like a mason jar with a thing,
like
a sleeve that like
it's like a screen type thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so those ones specifically were the ones I had in mind.
Genius.
Which are nutritionally dense and literally the easiest thing ever to use and require no resources beyond like
the actual
water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And that honestly, I think it could be a big game changer. I really do.
Yeah.
For these people, because if nothing else, they are getting this experience of just having people be like, hey, I give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
I think like there's this way that I think you can help yourself and kind of like help sustain yourself a little bit. And it's just kind of, I think that little step of just giving them a sense of empowerment over their own life
Totally.
is going to be so psychologically beneficial, in my opinion. And I you know, I'm curious to hear how you think about that, because obviously I've never experienced homelessness. So I wonder do you think they're going to be receptive to this?
I think it all needs to be wrapped neatly.
Yeah.
That's what I've been focusing on lately. 'Cause
Okay.
it's all sort of in its infancy stages.
Yeah.
Right now I'm getting artists on board, right? And then
Yeah.
we're planning something for June, right? Right now I'm trying to think of the best way to come around to these people, you know?
Yeah.
Which is to say, like, what is going to be the most beneficial, obviously physically, like,
Yeah.
from a health perspective, I think I already have that down, but from an emotional perspective, how to be like, you know, how to make sure that like people know like that they're valued and like people care about them.
Yeah.
And like,
It's a huge feat.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because we like the way we live, especially like Utah, man, like other places are different. Like, people, unless you're like related to people or close friends, people are cold here, man.
Yeah,
They
they really are.
they brush you off and
Yeah.
they act like you're not there.
It's true. Yeah. And I can't imagine how much worse it is if, you know, you're experiencing homelessness, because
Yeah.
like it's going to fuck you up.
Totally.
I love that. I really appreciate that you're including that dimension, because, you know, I think it's easy if we get excited about something like where I want to help people, it's easy to kind of be like, well, I'm helping them, so obviously they're going to want my help and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But I think it's really valuable that you're aware of that dimension and that you're wanting to find a way to, you know, best address it and come up to it.
I mean, people above everything else are prideful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes for people to accept things.
Yeah, it's a powerful human emotion, and it's very present.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much more powerful it is, or even more present it is, in someone who's just trying to hold on to any sense of pride whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know? So
To someone who is desperately clinging to their pride.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. Well, that's awesome. I think that's I'm excited to kind of start helping. I'm excited to, you know, even at the prospect of moving forward with this, you know, I think having you come on the podcast, I don't want you to feel like you got to have it all figured out. And, you know, I appreciate that you're like, you got this good vision, you've got this good plan, and you're getting ready to move forward with it. I wonder how can other people really help with this? Is it mostly like just supporting monetarily with their
Yes.
shows, or is it okay?
Yes. Come to this
these
show.
events, yeah.
Donate money. I have a Venmo. All that.
Perfect.
Give me money for myself
Yeah. you
to buy McDonald's.
Yeah, that's the good shit, right?
Yeah. And like and crocodile and stuff.
A crocodile.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Stream my music too.
That'll do the trick.
That'd be cool.
Even though Spotify just rips off every artist ever, so
Yeah, dude. That's a
whole other
totally
can of worms.
fucked up.
But
You see like Joni Mitchell and
oh yeah,
Neil Young and all them are like,
oh yeah, the whole Joe Rogan controversy. Yeah.
I mean, like, my thing is like, as much as Joe Rogan is cringe and stupid, like Neil Young isn't. Neil Young and Joni Mitchell are not exactly bringing the type of money that Joe Rogan is to them.
No,
so I get why
not
they
even.
did. They're like, yeah, fucking,
Yeah.
you can take your music off. Here.
Yeah, just, hey, bye. I guess they did have a $2 billion loss. Spotify did as a result of that.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was also some other factors. Like there were some other artists, and then it was just also kind of this whole like trend that was happening. It's all sorts of silly bullshit, culture war stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think they acquired Rogan for like $100 million or something.
Yeah.
So like they have to be getting like
A
10
lot
times their investment back like yearly.
Otherwise,
right?
what's the point, right?
Exactly. Well, if you can't overly exploit people for their worth, then like, what are you even doing this for?
You're just failing. That's the point. Well, shit. I kind of wanted to bring it back to I think we talked about like some other, not only just like, you know, monetary buy-in to this, because I think that is going to be obviously very important. Like, please come to these events and like help spread the love. But also, if you're one of these people that are also experiencing poverty, are there going to be like volunteer opportunities that we can do? Like, what are kind of things that we can do that we can mobilize ourselves to actually help here?
I mean, organize shit yourself as well. Above all else, like be a part of this, you know, be a cog in this this machine, but like fucking throw your own thing too. Like, it's like I don't care. Like I'm not gonna get mad if someone else throws a show and then like you know, like
that's not what it's about.
Yeah,
right?
it's never been about me. You know,
awesome.
Even in like my own music. That's why I wear a mask, because it's not about me. So there's this weird thing of like, there's like a fan, to be a fan of something now is like, how interested in this person's life are you? Yeah, and I think that's stupid.
Yeah, it is,
because everyone is like. Everyone has skeletons. Everyone is imperfect, and no one's going to be exactly how you want them to be. Especially famous, egoed out like superstars. Yeah, you know
exactly.
That's why I wear a mask, because it's about the music just as much as this is about helping people. Yeah, it's never been about me.
That's fucking important. I love that shit, because it's too easy to get bogged down in that ego grip is easy on a lot of us, and I think it's valuable that you're actively trying to avoid that. And actively trying to focus more on the actual content itself and the actual, you know, value that you're trying to get out of it.
Totally.
I love it. That actually, it's interesting because this kind of brings me to talking to you about music in general, to be honest, because, you know, I've often used music as a way to like form my identity. It wasn't until like, I don't know, recently that I realized like, oh wait, I actually have to do music in order to be considered a musician. But like there was so much value in it for me. So I'm curious to hear like about your musical journey. Also like what is it about like rap that like really sticks with you, that is so valuable to you?
Rap right now is at the height of every like the largest majority of great artists are making rap right now.
It's true.
Like the best artists in the world right now are making rap music. Yeah. Or like making clothes. Yeah. That's it.
Or making clothes.
Yeah. Like Rick Owens or whoever. Like those are like fucking Kendrick Lamar, Kanye, like all these people are like the greatest artists in the world right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that is very attractive to me. Okay. And also I have like, you know, that like I got into rap in like 9th grade. I became obsessed with it, right? Just like every other like white man, like white boy, you know? And so like I just studied it religiously, and then I found out what sampling was, and then I got into funk and soul, and then jazz, and then like noise and power electronics, and like folk music eventually, and country, and I got into everything that I like, which is like I love everything, man. Music, and I'm not someone who just says that. Like I really enjoy like most.
You can find something to value in any genre.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's super important. I think that's amazing.
Totally.
Yeah, dude. It's interesting how much like if you tried to ask someone like, do you like music? It's just a stupid question, right? Because everyone loves music, or everyone like connects and relates to music, but it's so unique to actually be able to create music, and to actually be able to express yourself.
I don't feel like most people love music. Also,
I guess that's a good point.
I feel like people. I feel like people try music on.
Yeah,
like a nice pair of like socks.
Yeah,
you know, and like people like use music to like say something about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like this is my identity. I think that's a big thing. Like, I don't think you're alone. You were alone in that.
Yeah. So they're not really connecting with it. They're not actually.
Yeah. And I don't mean to generalize, but like I see a lot of people, you know, who like share stuff, you know, like some guy shared my song a couple weeks ago and was like, see this, like people be so surprised when I play this mainstream artist, and then this guy, like you're not like you don't even enjoy it. You're just like using it as a badge of like, I'm different. Look, and that's corny to me.
Makes him a little bit interesting, but not even.
Exactly. Yeah. And my music's not like, you know, I'm not fucking John Cage or what. I'm not like some avant-garde composer guy. Like I make rap. You know? Like it's not like the most crazy shit.
And yet people are trying to use it as a way to make themselves seem unique.
Exactly.
It's interesting. But I don't know. I think the thing that's been so hard in terms of like, you know, because I'm still in a band and everything like that. And the thing that's been hard about music in this space right now is
So everyone is making rap.
everyone's making rap.
Yeah.
Everyone's making rap. I've told myself a couple times, like, I should write a rap song. Like, I can't do it. That's for sure.
You can produce rap.
I probably, yeah. I mean, yeah, it takes a little bit of effort, but
You go to looperman.com, dude.
looperman.com.
Look up Juice World guitar. Get an 8-bar loop at 150 BPM. Drum, hi-hat, trap hi-hats, trap drums, trap bass.
And then bada bing, bada boom.
Boom. Sell it for $50. You just made $50 out of 5 minutes of work. Easily.
Holy shit. And it's amazing.
Now you're like on a song. Now you're like a producer. You know?
Interesting.
It's that easy.
That's amazing. Honestly,
I mean, don't really do that. Like,
I won't.
put time.
Yeah,
if you're gonna do it,
I'd prefer to actually have it be meaningful to me. But honestly, I think it's super impressive and super valuable that, I mean, you've been able to essentially quit a day job and make this your main source of income now, right?
Yeah,
you're producing. That is a huge step. That is so fucking valuable, dude.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Why?
'Cause I'm fucking really good.
Yeah.
Like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm very good at what I do.
You need to toot your own horn.
Yeah.
That's something that's been so hard about, like,
Fairly.
Yeah.
Like I know that I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
That's why I say that.
I love your music, dude.
Thank you, bro.
I really find you to be very talented.
I'm glad you enjoy it, man.
Hell yeah. I love it. And I want to speak to the fact that, like, if you're ever creating anything, like, you have to also, obviously you have to know if you sound like shit or if you're really good or what.
Yes.
But, like, you have to have some sort of pride in what you're doing, and you have to know that you are doing something that you find valuable.
Yeah, you have to have confidence in yourself, not like as a musician, just in yourself as you are, in order to even try something that you might eventually be good at.
Yeah.
Right. Like there has to be a confidence there to be aggressively bad at something for a long time and then be good at,
Yes. And that being aggressively bad at it is so important, even no matter how fucking hard it is.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing rap?
2 years now.
Okay.
This is my third year.
Okay. Sweet. That's fucking dope, dude.
Junior year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Junior year of rap.
Yeah.
Well, like, what are your goals with it? Like, what, are you looking to totally monetize this brand and, like, kind of, become a rap star, I guess?
I would like enough agency to live wherever I want and never work again.
Yeah.
And help feed the homeless, clothe the homeless, house the homeless.
Fuck yeah.
Take care of any medical emergencies, buy my mom a new car, new house. That's, if I don't get that far, it's okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I would like to have not just the money, but the money and the agency to be able to take care of my family and to take care of other artists that I deem, like, really fucking good.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm going to give you this distribution deal and I'm going to take this amount of money.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to fuck you over. Like, if you got in a 360 deal with, like, Empire or Atlantic Records,
Shit, yeah. That'd be amazing. It's so sad to me that, for one thing, that, that agency that you're seeking and, having money is inextricably linked, I think that's something that
it's shitty, man.
people really need.
But is it like control? Yeah. Like, you can be, I think you don't have to be famous to have money.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, is a valuable thing to realize.
Oh yeah.
Is, like,
fame is kind of terrifying in itself.
Fame's terrible. Fame would be, like, the little amount of fame. Like, dude, the most embarrassing thing ever was, like, my buddy invited me to a strip club like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking whatever. I've never been. It'd be cool, right?
Try it out.
And this dude was like, "Oh shit, are you Jules? Dude, hell yeah. You made hell yeah with PJ the Giant, right?" And I was like, fuck, dude. Yeah. And he's like, and he gave me like $12 in singles. And I was like, God.
You're like, this is so crazy.
Yeah. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
And as you just get better and better, that's gonna become more and more common. You're gonna get used to it at some point.
That's why I wear the mask.
Ah, that's a good point.
It's another reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually really like that. That kind of vibe and that idea.
Yeah.
I appreciate you even, being willing to do this with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I really hope that this can help kind of launch the message for what you're trying to do
Yes.
for the homeless people, because I really do find that extremely valuable, and I love your viewpoints on homelessness and just like on society and culture at large. That's why I'm absolutely happy to have you on this podcast, because you know, I think we share a lot of the same ideals, and so it's not very difficult for us to come up with a shared vision for humanity.
For sure.
And obviously, like you've got this foundation of kindness and empathy for these people.
I don't even think it's like, I think empathy is important.
Yeah.
Dude, kindness is minutia, man.
What do you mean?
It's like you don't need to be kind.
Interesting.
Like, you need to do what's right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, politeness will get you nowhere.
Yeah.
It's formality.
Yeah.
It's all fat.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
It's kind of, I think.
And the people who are the worst disguise themselves with that formality, with that politeness. And they're like, when people ignore homeless people, they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think there needs to be a distinction there between politeness and kindness, because
For sure.
I think that's something I'm really trying to find on my own, actually, because, I've kind of taken on this mantra of like kindness without boundaries is self-destruction, for one thing.
Yes.
And then that point that you brought up of, you can be polite and you're not really being kind. You're just trying to act in self-preservation at that point. Totally. And I think finding that distinction is going to be is kind of a focus of this podcast. And I feel like what you're doing is a clear example of that distinction, because it's not about being polite to homeless people. You're not going out saying, all right, cool guys, make sure you just tell a homeless person that they look nice today, because that'll do it. Oh,
yo, here's $2, bro.
Yes, exactly. That's not kindness.
Yeah.
And so that, I think what you're really doing is kindness. I think
Thank
that
you,
it
man.
really is coming from a place of honesty, and that's what's important to me, and that's what's resonating with me. So I value you for that.
It means a lot.
Hell yeah, dude.
Fuck
Thank you
yeah.
so much.